The plane was nosediving. Alarms blared. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. Passengers screamed. I could feel the air pressure change in my ears, the lurch in my stomach. And then my father looked at me, eyes wide with fear, and said, "We are going to die." I was just 12 years old, flying from Nigeria to the United States of America. Just hours earlier, I'd been hugging my friends goodbye, waving to my coaches, about to leave everything that I knew behind for a tennis academy in the United States of America. I did not even know where America was on the map, but I knew that this was my ticket to something bigger than I could have imagined at that age. And now, back in midair, it seemed like none of that really mattered. And then the strangest thing happened. In that moment, in that chaos, when every ounce of logic in you tells you to panic, I didn't. For some reason, I stayed calm, completely calm, as if something deep inside whispered, "Just breathe, let it unfold." That feeling, that anchored calm, has never left me. It showed up when I was sitting alone at 12 years old in that tennis academy's cafeteria, physically bullied every night for a year, wondering if leaving home was a mistake. It showed up on the day when I lost my dream job with 2 days' notice, with my family depending on me. It has consistently shown up in moments where every choice could make or break my future. And over the years, I've come to realize what that feeling, what that calm really was. It was, it is, and it will always be my dot. Your dot is your purpose. It is that steady point inside you when the whole world around you spins. It is your personal compass, your anchor point, your why. If there is one thing I would like for you to take away from today, it is this. When everything around you feels out of control, there is always one thing you can control, and that is your dot. I was born in India, but I was raised in Nigeria, West Africa. By the age of 6, I had been held at gunpoint 3 times. That's right, 3 times before I even understood what the meaning of the word danger really meant. Experiences like that speed up your understanding of the world. They change how you relate to fear. They break down any illusions about control. By the age of 12, I was Nigeria's top-ranked junior tennis player. For me, tennis was not just a sport. It was my structure, it was my ambition, it was my escape, and it was my identity. I still remember when the offer to train in the US came. I went to my mom and dad, and I said, "What should I do?" They both smiled collectively and said, "Take it." And that was it. 2 words that changed my entire path. That decision taught me early. When fear or uncertainty comes, or when opportunity knocks, your decision should come from your dot. Mark Twain once said, "The 2 most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why." I love this quote because it's not just about us as individuals. If purpose should mean so much to a person, shouldn't it mean as much to organizations that we help build, lead, and work for? That we help build, lead, and work for. Let's face it, we live in an era of constant disruption. Climate change, social inequality, generational divides, and these are no longer just making headlines. They're here, and they're fundamentally shifting and rewriting our institutions, our economies, our societies, and so much more. During times like this, we need to ask ourselves a question, not what are we doing, but rather, why are we doing it? When I left the tennis world to go to the corporate world, I did everything we are taught to do. Climb the ladder, hit the targets, collect the salary, the titles, the recognition. But in the middle of all of this, I found myself asking two questions. What is my actual dot here? What sort of impact am I really having? And these two questions pushed me into the world of sustainability, or ESG, environment, social, and governance. Environment, social, and governance. What I found was a world where companies were not just focused on profit, but they were also focused on something called purpose. What I saw was a place where our decisions could serve communities, ecosystems, and future generations. I found that old spark again, one that tennis had previously given me. But I also saw something unnerving. Companies with beautiful purpose statements etched into their walls. ESG reports full of promises. And that's where it ended, and that's when it hit me. Purpose without action is meaningless. A beautifully crafted compass means nothing if you do not use it to help you choose your direction. Companies that thrive do not see ESG as a separate department. They see ESG as a mindset. Purpose is the foundation. It's your reason beyond profit. Action is how you live it, through your people, through your decisions. Impact is how the world sees you, authentic, measurable. If done right, you don't just do good, you do well. Better results, better performance, greater trust. But if done wrong, ESG will always be seen as a bit of a tick box. As a bit of a tick box. Have a look at Zomato. They converted their entire fleet of delivery bikes to electric. Not because they wanted to make a headline, but because they saw value in reducing costs and also cutting their carbon emissions. Or look at Tata Steel with their zero waste plants, where they convert byproducts into consumer goods. ESG is not philanthropy, it's innovation. And ESG is not just for the Teslas and the Patagonias of the world. It's for each and every business asking itself, how can I do better for people, for planet, and for profit? And then February 2020 came along. The pandemic hit us. In March 2020, my father went into the intensive care unit for something much worse than the COVID-19 virus. April 2020, I was supposed to come from Australia to India to care for my parents as the only child. And what happened? The borders shut between Australia and India. In May 2020, with 2 days' notice, I was made redundant. I was fired. I was let go from my dream job with no backup plan. It seemed like everything around me was falling apart all at once. All at once. And that's when I needed to revisit my dot. I asked myself 3 questions. Who am I without a title? What's left once the achievements are gone? And what kind of legacy am I really leaving behind here? In August 2020, 6 months from February, I got another job, double my salary, sort of aligned with my values. But this was not luck. This was not coincidence. This was me anchoring in my dot. So here's the truth. ESG is hard. It's messy. It requires trade-offs, and it requires courage. ESG is not a public relations exercise. It's not a glossy brochure. It's not a glossy brochure. I still remember when I was doing my PhD many years ago, my supervisor, Kaushik, gave me that sheet of paper and a pencil. On that sheet of paper, he drew a circle. And in that circle, he put a dot. The white space in the circle, he said, represents human knowledge. This dot, he said, is your contribution. Be proud of it, stay humble, and always follow your dot. Now that moment changed the way I saw change itself. Because in this world of constant crisis, we are always trying to solve everything all at once. But lasting change can only start with something small, with focus, with laser-like focus. So my question to you is, what is your dot? Maybe it's mentoring someone who doubts themselves. Maybe it's selecting an ethical supplier. Maybe it's speaking up when it feels inconvenient. Please remember, the biggest legacy you can have is actually helping someone find their dot and making sure they follow it. And so once again, I'll ask you, what is your dot? What is something you are so passionate about that you are willing to act upon today? Please do not wait for the perfect time. Please do not wait for permission. Please do not wait for someone else to lead. Please lead from your dot. Because in this world of ESG, of leadership, of life, the future is not something that we wait for. The future is something that we will build together. Thank you very much.